Hmm. Okay, guys, we are here. We got Palantir earnings in what, like 42 minutes? Let me get a timer up. We'll put a timer up. We'll get a poll going live as well. Palantir up to almost 161s right now. Pretty close to the all-time high at 161.84s. Right, that's the all-time high for sure. Yeah, 160, 184 roughly is the all-time high. We'll see if it hits that. It's at 160.83, pushing up this morning or this evening. What's up, BT? Let me get some music playing. Does Palantir beat or miss their Q2 earnings? Manny. All right, we got that poll live. Okay, so we do have this list of things that you want to pay attention to. Look at Palantir. The Palantir might break all-time highs before the closing bell. So Palantir's Q2 earnings report after close, technically scheduled for, I think it's 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll put the expectation up. They're expecting 14 cents roughly on a revenue of 939 million. And again, this is technically scheduled for 4:05 Eastern Standard Time. Bitcoin having a bounce? Is it really? That's good, man. I'm for Bitcoin bouncing. So yeah, there's about 5 big areas you want to watch for Palantir. Commercial growth in the United States is a big one. You just want to pay attention to commercial growth. It's been a growth driver for Palantir as a whole. Is their commercial growth. U.S. commercial segment showing substantial expansion in previous quarters. Look for strong performance in this area, particularly regarding the adoption of their AI intelligence platform. AIP is the abbreviation for it. You also want to, and again, that's U.S. commercial. You also want to pay attention to international. The last quarter saw a decline in global sales outside of the United States. So you want to pay attention to whether they address this and if there are signs of renewed growth in the international commercial and government segments. Guidance. So as always, guidance is a huge, crucial aspect of this. And so, you want to pay attention to their guidance. Full year 2025. Beat and raise reports is a historical pattern for Palantir, and investors are going to be looking for a similar outlook. Whether they have any new deals. They've been consistently GAAP profitable for several quarters. GAAP meaning generally accepted accounting principles. So we'll see if they're continue to be profitable. You want to listen to stock-based compensation as well. Yeah, HIMS also releases after the closing bell. Expected at roughly 18 cents a share on 551.8 million, 552 million in revenue. There's also Vertex, VRTX, Diamondback Energy. We got like Axon Enterprises, AXON. Navita Semiconductor Corp is a big one too. Palantir though, man, it's dipping down a little bit, but it's had a crazy run. It just broke 161.40s. Looking at our poll number, 76% say beat, 24% say miss. Do a poll on x.com. You can give us a follow at Beginner Trades. Figma, yeah, Figma was crazy with their IPO. It's all the way back down to 90s. This is why I don't buy IPOs. I mean, maybe there's some money to be made, but yeah, this is just why I don't buy IPOs. People get all hyped up for them. Like there's a couple every year that people get really excited for, but you know, I'm not trying to buy that. A lot of bulls pre-earnings for Palantir, so a lot of people are actually expecting this to move up. So there's been a couple deals that have been done regarding Palantir. They had a almost $800 million 4-year contract for their Maven Smart system from the U.S. Army. That's one of them. They won a $218 million deal to provide space solutions and platform solutions to Space Systems Command. They signed a deal with NATO for the Maven AI system. Partnered with Google to bring Google Cloud to FedStart. Anthropic partnership. Joint Commission. Government of Ecuador. Fannie Mae. Seed Data. Teletracking. Fedrigoni. So a lot of deals with Palantir. At least let's get a timer up. Yeah, what do we have? Like 33 minutes. What did gold end up settling down? So gold was running up this morning. Gold had a good day. Didn't quite touch those gains at 34.40 like it did this morning, but it still made some moves up. HIMS, again, also releasing after the bell. Both of these are 4:05 p.m., but we'll cover all of them when they come out. No, I mean, most people just don't chat. It'll catch up. I'm starting at 30 minutes before the earnings come out, so I mean, once the bell closes, it'll get a little bit more interesting. Palantir pulling back. Microsoft on the day. Currently at 540s. Had a rebound some. Still up from earnings, but you know, down over the last 2 or 3 days. You think these earnings are enough to pull the NASDAQ down after the bell? Maybe a little bit. I don't think they're enough. I don't think they're weighted enough to markets to really have some type of big significant influence over indices. Not in any big way. You know, HIMS is, I mean, both of these are kind of big, but it's not like they're in the Mag 7 or anywhere close to it. None of these are. So, I mean, HIMS is good. Palantir is a good company. But yeah. Yeah, so Palantir's in both the NASDAQ and the S&P. But they're not really weighted high enough. In terms of weight for the S&P and the NASDAQ. Give me a second. It's smaller in the S&P. It's the 23rd largest company by weight by approximately 0.63% in the S&P 500. In the NASDAQ, but I don't think it's going to have that big of an influence. I just don't. Yeah, and we can take a look at, like, hold on. We can take a look at the EPS graph for both of these. EPS and revenue graph for HIMS and Palantir. You know, people are really optimistic for Palantir. If you take a look at some of these, you know, Palantir has been profitable in terms of margins for about 3 years now. And you can see, like, people are betting on this trajectory. Their growth slowed a little bit, but it's still pretty strong. And again, you can kind of see Palantir's EPS is margins, so it's earnings per share. Like you see, they struggled for a few years, and then they finally reached profitability, and then they've been pushing up since. You can see the trailing 12-month. What people get really optimistic about outside of margins is revenue. And so if we take a look at revenue for Palantir, revenue is really solid and really nice graph for revenue. You always want to compare it to the previous year's same quarter, if that makes sense. So like right now, this is Q2 earnings for Palantir. So you want to look at Q2 of 2024, which would be here. Last time they showed 678 million for revenue for Q2. Today they are expecting 938. Not quite double, but close. So very large increase. And if they do come in as expected, it'll be their largest revenue quarter ever. And so people talk a lot about Palantir's PE ratio and how it's overpriced. It's at like what, like 6 something, 630, 650 PE. But people are betting on this type of revenue trend. Look at the growth here in revenue is very solid. So growth is getting better. Trailing 12-month revenue is very solid. And that's what people are betting on. I think that this is a similar trajectory as a lot of AI companies right now. And so I think this is just something that you want to pay attention to and just watch their revenue. See if they continue to be more and more profitable every quarter. You know, it'll kind of make more validity for their investment. But yeah, Palantir, software company. They build data systems and platforms. They create softwares that help governments and organizations, government and commercial organizations make sense of data, essentially. And with AI, Palantir Gotham is their original product used by governments and intelligence agencies like the CIA and Department of Defense. Go through lots of data fast is basically what it helps to do, and find patterns, connections related to stuff. They also have Palantir Foundry, and their latest and newest one is Palantir AI platform, AIP. It's to sell customized data-driven software. So as AI grows, Palantir should grow as well, you know, especially with their connections. It's just a big company. A lot of people are investing in Palantir right now. What's up, Faye? Yeah, and I mean, looking at Palantir, we're starting to come down a little bit. We did break highs. I think we're close enough to highs to make me optimistic. Hims, not as close. All-time highs on Hims are about 73. Hims sells, Hims business model, and they also release after the closing bell. Their business model is much smarter. Not smarter than Palantir, sorry. That's kind of ridiculous. It's smart. It's not that smart. But Hims' business model is smart. Okay, what they do is they find things that men do not want to buy in the store, or they don't want to pick up in the store, like balding medicine, other stuff that men might not want to pick up in the store, and they give you a monthly subscription service. They give you access to doctors, and you can kind of get all that stuff online now. So we're talking like Propecia, lots of all different kinds of stuff, Rogaine, whatever it is. It kind of makes it so that you don't have to go to the store. And I think that's a justifiable business. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to choose not to go to the store and get something like Hims, and that's why they've had a lot of growth. They did really good earlier in the year, pulled all the way back to 25, and now they're back up to 65. So very rangy, very big range for this one. If you look at a long-term chart, they've been really uptrending since 2022, and they've grown by a very large margin, 22s all the way up to almost 70s. Or by $2 in, what is this? 2022. Yeah, 272 all the way up to 73 bucks basically. And we're at 64s right now, so they're still up a huge amount in a few years. Looking at our votes, 63% think they're going to beat, 37% think they're going to miss. I don't know. There's a new update to Grok. So has any news come out since this morning? Nvidia's PE ratio, if we're looking at it, just to kind of get a look at AI, stock increased by 12% in the past year, up 72%. 72% in the past year. Over the past month, Nvidia's gone up over 12 and over 70. What is Nvidia's PE ratio right now? It's 56. Yeah, the current aggregate PE ratio in semiconductors and equipment is 70. If you round up, it's 70. Nvidia has lower than average at 56 compared to other AI companies. And so I think that gives it some value, I don't know how much value, but I think it gives it some. Hey, what's up? Good news. Forrest, Pew, Pawn, Bam, Daniel, Farmer, Matt, Chris, Faye, Dan, DJ, Manny. What's up, guys? All right. So again, just to go back to Palantir's numbers, 14 cents roughly is what they're looking at on EPS. And we're going to dig through it as soon as the earnings come out. About 14-cent EPS, earnings per share. Revenue of, again, last quarter two in 2024, they showed like mid sixes. 650 million. I'm just going to say, I can't remember what the actual number was last quarter, or for 24, quarter 2, 2024. Here, I can look at it real quick. For quarter 2, 2024, they showed 678 million. Today, they are expecting, and this is quarter 2, 2025 now, so this is a year-over-year number. Today, they are expecting 940 million. So, a big increase in revenue. Earnings per share, if we take a look at what they showed last year for Palantir, EPS numbers showed up at 6 cents a share EPS margins. So this is earnings per share. These are margins. So 6 cents a share margins for quarter 2 2024. Today they are expecting 14 cents. So a little bit over 100% gain if we're talking about EPS margins, although they're still relatively, look, I'm just going to be honest. That's still very small for a company that is $160 a share. It's still kind of a low profit amount. I mean, you got to understand, Palantir current float's about 2.3 to 2.5 billion, and so even with 14 cents a share EPS, when you got 2.5 billion shares, they're making money. You know, revenue's almost 900 million, so they're making money. So Palantir has market caps billions. But yeah. Which of these figures are actually accurate and not embellished? In terms of earnings, I mean, depends on what you call embellished. If you're talking about the expected numbers coming in, most of the time companies, I would say, especially this earnings quarter, have posted better than expected EPS and revenue margins. So most companies have been beating. It doesn't mean they're going to necessarily go up though. But yeah. Yeah, I see the Brazil finance minister Haddad believes he will speak directly to the U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent this week. He understands that the payment system must be kept under responsibility of the BCB. I see that. Or at least not that long ago. No one trusts data anymore. Yeah, no, I get it though. Honestly, we've had a lot of really strong payroll data over the last 3 months. Come to find out, it's nonsense. I don't trust the data right now, to be honest. And I've even criticized people before about, hey, like, all we have to go by is the data. But man, these revisions were not good. And I really believe all we have to go by is the data. But yeah, those revisions, those were some gnarly revisions. Big revisions. You're gonna short Palantir? Hey, good luck, bro. You still got 20 minutes before the numbers come out. We'll see what happens. We also have AMD and Supermicro earnings tomorrow. We got the trade balance data too. In the landscape of the tariffs, tomorrow we have the trade balance data coming out. So that might move things as well. I'm curious to see where HIMS goes. I'm bullish on Palantir overall. Papa Palantir needs a pump. Hey, we'll see. General expectations were revised downward repeatedly throughout the year by up to 80%. It's easy to beat the numbers again and again, but the stock market isn't interested. Not yet, anyway. Yeah, you might be right. I'm not even necessarily wrong. I'm not even saying you're necessarily wrong. Yeah, I mean, with earnings, you got to understand, this is how it goes. Like, companies are going to consistently try to put in lowball numbers for their guidance. Like, that's what they do. It's an intentional thing. They're trying to get the analysts to give them low expectations. And then by the analysts giving them low expectations, they consequently end up beating because they're low expectations. And then in theory, it should propel the stock higher and higher and higher, right? It's kind of like a dance that analysts and companies do in public markets. It's been happening for, throughout history. That's why IPO prices are important and all that stuff too. Like you gotta make it sweet enough to look valuable, but not too high to have like a fire sale, Under promise, over deliver, 100%. Yeah, that's right. Palantir holding at that 200 exponential right here at 160.20s. Hey, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. Him should consider acquiring Novo, pharmaceutical company. I don't know. Hims is mostly like a male-centered. I guess it's Hims and hers now technically, but the whole theme of Hims and hers is if you're too embarrassed to pick it up in the store, they'll ship it to you. And so that's like the products they offer. They offer like balding products, like women's feminine products. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, like skin products, stuff. And they let you talk to their doctors and everything like that. Novo, from my understanding, is what, like a asthma company? I don't know a ton about Novo as a company. I know it's a pharmaceutical company. Are you talking about small business banking, Novo? There's Novo Nordisk, which is a pharmaceutical company, healthcare company, old healthcare company, and then there's like a banking business for tools and entrepreneurs. I'm assuming you mean pharmaceutical. All right, guys, we got 15 minutes. See what we get for Palantir. Yeah, we also have Hims. I don't know what kind of earnings we're gonna get for Hims. They're close to highs, so I hope it's good, but. All right, we're up to almost 161s again. Yeah, I mean, we'll get more people at the closing bell when people tune in to watch it. But it's kind of slow, man. I mean, Palantir's ripping up close to all-time highs. Yeah, Fig is down. Fig was the big IPO last week. If you look at Fig here, the 90/50s. It gave back a lot. This thing went up to like 150 or so. Let me see. What was the actual price? Yeah, 150 exactly. All the way, gave a lot of this gap down all the way to $90. It IPO'd at like $30 a share or something like that, right? And it went all the way up to 150. So there's a lot of gains to be made. But now I think people are just getting scared out of it. They're just panicking, I think. But they're just selling off. Kramer curse is broken. Which one does Kramer like? Yeah, it depends on which one he likes. Kramer's not always wrong. The Kramer curse, he's been right about some stuff over the last... The curse might be broken with Kramer. He's been right about some stuff. Honestly, the Nasdaq's been sideways. If we take a look at the NQ, they're flat. Very flat. I mean, it went up this morning. It gapped up today, but power hour. Really since like 10:30 in the morning. Market's just kind of been like this. Kind of boring, not really much going on there with the Nasdaq. Maybe the S&P's better, but I don't think it is. Palantir's starting to chop as well. Here's the SPY. 630s. Kind of boring. Slight uptrend, maybe that 200 exponential level's holding. Maybe that means something. Microsoft rebounded, but it's been giving it back over the last 2 hours. All right, chat, we got 10 minutes. We fought buy Fig again at 85. I mean, I think I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not an investment professional. Might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Don't copy me, not an investment professional. Not liable if you lose money. Make your own assessment, trade smart, can't guarantee anything. With that said, though, there might be a, you might be able to buy Fig. I'm not telling you to do it. I have no idea what's going to happen here. But I know Fig is down a lot from its IPO. So people obviously find some value in it. For it to propel all the way up to 150. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that are riding the momentum. But it's down percentage-wise a large amount in the last 48 hours of market time. Not including the weekend. So, down to 90. Whether you should buy it here, I mean, it depends on your risk tolerance. There might be good, might be a good play to get in, but it's also risky. Everybody starts to show up to the stream with 10 minutes before the closing bell. I might just start starting these. I run out of stuff to talk about starting it too early, so I might just start starting these at like 2:30, 2:40. Get in, let people see it, and then get out. Yeah, no, we've already talked about HIMS a lot. Again, HIMS, genius business. Again, I still think it's a smart business. They solve a problem. Businesses solve problems. And what the problem that HIMS solved is that people don't want to buy balding medicine. They don't want to go pick up balding medicine in store. It can be embarrassing. They don't want to buy men products in stores. Women don't want to buy feminine products in stores. Wouldn't it be better if you had a subscription service that lets you talk to a doctor, ship it to your house? That is the business of HIMS. Genius business, I think, too. Palantir is a company. Sorry, I yelled a little bit. Palantir is a company that powerful company, honestly, and they're making money. Their revenue is increasing. Super high PE ratio right now. They're both included in the S&P and Nasdaq. Palantir is about 0.6% of the S&P, so I don't think it'll move markets. But Palantir specializes in platforms for companies and organizations. Both government organization is a huge part of their business, as well as commercial. So they create software that helps businesses interpret data, essentially, like data platforms. They help organizations get a complete picture of what's going on in their company through data and software. They have Palantir Gotham, their original one, used by government and intelligence. CIA, Department of Defense uses this, and they've got a lot of big contracts. We'll talk about some of their contracts in a second. Then they have Palantir Foundry, which is commercial, like company specific. And then they're building their AIP, their intelligence platform. It's their big system that allows organizations to securely and easily deploy AI systems, LLMs, large language models, and other AI capabilities directly on top of their private data. So that's their new product. You want to listen for that here. Pretty large float for Palantir. It's in the billions. They're expecting about 14-cent EPS margins today, which is over 100% increase from Q2 of 2024. They're expecting 939 million in revenue today, which is a large increase. The last one was just under 680 million for Q2 2024. So now we're in Q2 2025. Both of those numbers have close to doubled, as well as doubled. Not quite a double for their revenue, but increase for sure, like 60% or whatever that is. So big move there. Earnings will come before the call. Market on close was bullish. What was it? Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. Market on close was 667 million for the S&P, 378 million or 376 million for the Nasdaq, 373 million, 374 million for the Dow, and 204 million for the Mag 7. Roughly, these are all approximate numbers. I'm just kind of rounding here. And again, if we take a look at September rate cut odds here, we got about 6.5 minutes left until closing bell. If we take a look at this here, odds of a rate cut in September have now spiked to 92%. 92%. So that's a big spike. Pew, why odds higher? So Mila's asking why are the odds higher for September cut? The odds are higher for September cut specifically because payroll data on Friday of last week. You know, we had pretty strong data for May and June, both over 100,000 payrolls reported for both months, separate months. You know, they revised that data down significantly on Friday of this past week. They revised it down by 258,000. Both of them went from 1-something thousand all the way down to under 20,000 payrolls each for each month. And so much weaker payroll data. Now this data release, this update to the revisions in June and May caused the president to fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS. She got fired. Adriana Kugler stepped down as well. So, and again, this comes after Powell on Wednesday of last week was increasingly more hawkish than expected, like a lot more restrictive than expected. And so because of that weak payroll data, weak labor market data, and higher unemployment, we went up from 4.1 to 4.2% for unemployment, I believe, as well. Yeah, I mean, that shows a much weaker labor landscape than expected, and that caused the odds of a rate cut to increase for the next meeting in September. Palantir pulling down here. We're at 160.50. Almost 160.50. We're still battling this 200 exponential. We've been sideways. Palantir got a $10 billion army deal. Yeah, so they won an $800 million 4-year contract with the U.S. Army. $220 million deal with Space Data Platform Solutions to the Space Systems Command. They signed a $100 million 5-year partnership to the nuclear company to co-develop and deploy NOS. Deal with NATO using Maven. They partnered with Google to bring Google Cloud to FedStart. Anthropic partnership, Black Flag partnership, Joint Commission partnership, Government of Ecuador partnership. So these are a lot of deals. Fannie Mae partnership with C-Data, with Bolt, with Teletracking, with Fedragoni. So see what the revenue looks like for some of those deals. Yeah, 10 billion Army contract, but that's Q3 already. Not necessarily Q2, they say. All right, guys, we got 2 minutes left until the close. They're expecting 14 cents a share EPS, revenue of 938 million? Yeah, 939 million expected. So NASDAQ is kind of spiking up at the close, though. If we take a look at the NQ here, we are getting some movement. NASDAQ up to 23.3s right at the closing bell, 2 minutes before the close. Yeah, I mean, Q2 2024 was 680 million. So they went up a lot from Q2 as well. So Q2 they increased. EPS for Q2 2024 was only 6 cents a share. They're expecting 14 cents a share today. So their revenue's growing, their EPS margins are getting better. A lot of deals in the books. Super high PE ratio, but a lot of optimism, I think, for them. So all right, guys, we got the closing bell in 1 minute. See what we get here. All right, here's the close, chat. 30 seconds. Again, we'll try to give you guys this data as soon as we get it. We'll check for both Palantir as well as HIMS and VRTX as well. We'll cover all of those when they drop and break down what the numbers are. But yeah. Figueredo down big. Bitcoin went up almost to 116s again. It's back down to 115s though. All right, here's the close. Chat. Let's see what we get. All right, there's the bell. All right, let's watch. Palantir on the left, HIMS on the right. We also have VRTX. And again, they're technically scheduled for 405, but they could release anytime after the close, to be honest. So just watch for the movement. We'll cover it when it comes out. All right, VRTX is trending down. Waiting here. All right, Palantir's up. Just broke highs of the day real quick. 161.40 all-time highs. 161.80s. Palantir's breaking all-time highs right now. Bear with me. If the earnings are actually out yet. Not a lot of movement here, but huge beat for Palantir. They posted 17 cents versus hold on, I'm sorry. This might be wrong. Vertex posted revenue of 2.96 versus 2.92 billion expected. Yeah, technically they're scheduled for 4:05. So I'm waiting. I'm showing revenue of 940 million, EPS of 14 cents. That looks like the expected numbers. Yeah, I don't think these are right. I think this is just making up stuff. But it could be. All right, so we're 3 minutes in. Still waiting. There goes Hims. I'll tell you if I see the numbers for Hims as well. Palantir coming all the way back down to 161s. Again, Vertex came out 452, beat 429 estimates, sales of 2.95, 2.965 versus 2.9 expected. So BDPS beat revenue. Firm fiscal year guidance for VRTX. All right, so we got about a minute left until they're technically scheduled to drop. All right, here we go. Less than a minute before they're supposed to drop, at least. Here's HIMS. Again, they could release anytime after the close. Watching for movement. All right, so we got 30 seconds. Watch for movement. VRTX is out. Nothing yet for Hims or Palantir. Vote on the poll. Let me know what you guys think. 20 seconds. All right, here's the report. This one they're supposed to come out. All right, there's Palantir. So here's they drop right now. Look at Palantir up. Wow. Palantir shooting up. Bear with me. Hims dumping down here. $1 billion in revenue for Palantir, I think, or maybe that's wrong. Hold on. Okay. Huge spike up and a huge move down for Hims. Yeah, see Hims falling down fast. See some Fed daily quotes, but Hims posted 16 cents a share, revenue of 552 million. So Hims is out. Palantir is out as well. Palantir put Q2 US comm revenue growth 93%, 48% of revenue growth, and guides Q3 revenue to 50% year over year. Raises fiscal year revenue Israel as well up to 45%. Again, they did 1 billion in revenue versus 938.8 million. Expected EPS of 16 versus 12 cents is what they did for Palantir. So Palantir BDPS beat revenue. Yeah, 16 cents. So Palantir beat EPS, beat revenue. HIMS is down pretty significantly, although HIMS kind of beat a lot too. Yeah, again, so Palantir, just to give you guys some more information, HIMS posted expects Q3 revenue of 570 to 590, but HIMS did 17 cents a share versus 14 estimates. And then revenue for HIMS came in at 544 versus 549 expected. So HIMS missed revenue. So HIMS revenue miss is what's driving this down all the way to 54.50. Palantir starting to spike up though as we speak here. Again, Palantir sales guidance 3.89 to 3.9 billion, to 4.14 to 4.15 billion versus 3.9 expected. So Palantir raised their sales guidance and it came in much higher than expected. They also guided for the full year 25. Again, 4.142 billion to 4.15 billion versus 3.9 billion expected. Q3 sales 1.08 billion in guidance versus 1.8 or versus 981. So better Q3 guidance as well. They came in over the expected EPS, over the expected revenue, and hundreds of percent higher than Q2 2024 EPS. You know, Q2 2024 EPS was 6 cents. Palantir posted 16 cents. So very good numbers for Palantir. Surprised they're not up more, and it's breaking all-time highs right now. Yeah, I got you here. Here's Palantir's EPS and sales. Here's their guidance numbers in the chat. And they raised their fiscal year guidance as well. The 4.15 roughly. I think Palantir's going down. No, this is pretty good numbers, and they got a good big deals, and their guidance for Q3 was good. So all of that, I mean, you never know what anything's gonna do, but generally they're not gonna come down from this. Palantir did over $1 billion in revenue. They posted 1.004 billion, almost 1.01 billion, versus 930 million expected. So Palantir did over $1 billion. They only expected under 940 million. So they did better than they beat. This would be they beat revenue, they beat EPS for adjusted EPS. Yeah, they beat. New all-time highs as well for Palantir. Is pushing up. Look at HIMS. HIMS starting to go higher too. Vertex is still down though, but the liquidity is kind of low for Vertex. All right, guys, so that is the earnings for Palantir. Again, we're still covering some of this stuff. Palantir, over $1 billion in revenue, 938 million expected. Second quarter EPS of 13 cents, adjusted EPS of 16 cents is what I'm showing. Versus 14 cents estimate. Q3 sales guidance good. U.S. commercial revenue growth 93% increase year over year. Revenue growth overall 48% increase year over year. Guides Q3 revenue 50% year over year. They said, quote, "This was a phenomenal quarter. We continue to see astonishing impact of AI leverage. Our Rule of 40 score was 94%, once again obliterating the metric. Year-over-year growth in our U.S. business surged to 68%, and year-over-year growth in commercial climbed to 93%. We are guiding to the highest sequential quarterly revenue growth in our company's history, representing 50% year-over-year growth," that Alex Karp. Adjusted free cash flow, $569 million, 57% margin. Cash from operations, $539 million, 54% margin. GAAP net income, $327 million, 33% margin. Rule of 40 score is 94%, which is very good. So yeah, very good numbers for Palantir. Palantir still heading up. No change in rest of guidance. Yeah. All right, guys. So I wanted to cover that news for Palantir again, just to break down Palantir one more time. Very good quarter, over $1 billion in revenue, 16% adjusted, 16-cent adjusted EPS versus 14 cents expected. Revenue of $1 billion plus. Good guidance. Raised their fiscal year 2025 guidance. Quarter 3 guidance looked good. Quarter 2 revenue guidance looked good. Or quarter 2 revenue and quarter 3 revenue guidance looked good. So everything better than expected for the most part, and raised guidance for Palantir. So yeah, I'm probably just going to cut out of here, guys. So listen, if you haven't already, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I appreciate you all. And yeah, guys, I'll see you guys next time. Tomorrow we have AMD. I don't know if I'm going to stream those earnings. But I'll see you guys later. Palantir's starting to give a little bit of it back. Again, if you want to help support the channel, check out Top Step. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. I just try to cover it as soon as it drops. But if you appreciate it, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You can check out Top Step, which is a sponsor of mine. I'm biased, of course, but genuinely useful if you want to learn day trading. Most day traders lose money. And so if you put up your own $1,000 plus, you're probably going to lose it. And so $50 a month is what the base one on Top Step. You can day trade the futures market, very similar to day trading stocks, no PDT rule. Just a great way to get started. And if you fail, you're out $50. Pass it, you get a 50K funded account, 90% split. I'll put that link up. And then, yeah, guys, good luck. We'll see what the Palantir earnings call brings. But I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Yeah, Hims posted quarter 3 sales of roughly the same guidance. Yeah, it's about the same guidance for Hims. They affirmed fiscal year sales guidance at 2.35 billion versus 2.3 to 2.4. So yeah, basically flat. They posted 17-cent BDPS. They missed revenue though, so Hims missed revenue. They came in at 544. They expected almost 550 for revenue. So Hims came actually a little bit lower than expected for revenue. That's why it's dipping down some here, because it missed its revenue numbers. About the same guidance too. So, I mean, if it missed revenue and then beat guidance, it'd be one thing, but that's not what happened. Hims missed EPS or beat EPS and missed revenue. And revenue, I would say, is a little bit more important for companies, especially in terms of reactions. So that's kind of what happened here. You probably got to change the order to an EXT order, which is an extended hours order, QB. So again, you want to switch the type of order you have if you're trying to get out in extended hours after 4 p.m. or before 9:30. You have to make it an EXT order. So an example of that would be like this. Show you real quick. If I have to go to time and force, and there's a day order. If you want to get out after the closing bell, you want to change it to an EXT order. You also have to use limit orders. So I can't get in on the market. I have to use bid or the ask and change the time and force to EXT. It's probably what you're doing wrong. But hey, I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Have a great day, chat. I'll be back tomorrow morning bright and early. We got the trade deficit, data, import, exports, and more.